Now, if you've been struggling to try and lose weight like I was, and I'm using past tense, or trying to get more muscle definition, bigger muscles, get stronger, or just get more toned, I am going to show you what's happened to me within the last 6 weeks that I couldn't achieve over the last years. Because we know as we get older, it's more difficult to lose that fat, to gain muscle, to get any sort of definition. Now, I want to tell you this right now. What I'm doing and what I'm showing you in this course, I have not changed my diet. I'm not using supplements or hormones or steroids or anything like that. So let me show you right now some photographic evidence. Right, here is me filming my last course, right? Now this is a before photo, just so you know. This is me sitting here, and you can see the Christmas decorations. That's 6 weeks ago, okay, in my last course. Now, have a look at my arm here, all right? There's no definition at all. Now, I had been going to the gym 3 times a week, lifting heavy weights for 15 months, and look, there is no change, nothing to look at. What a waste of time. Now look at this photo. Now this is 2 weeks after what I'm going to teach you in this course. This is 2 weeks. You can see there's actually some definition. 15 minutes, nothing. Definition of a bicep, deltoid, you start to see it. Now look at this one. This is around 3 to 4 weeks of me. Now look at that. I have got real deltoid definition, real biceps to actually see a difference within 4 weeks. Now you might be saying, wait a minute. There's no way. I know it takes months. Have a look at this study, because I'm going to back this science. This is science-based, evidence-based, and I'm going to give you all of these studies. Now, have a look at this. This here, 2 weeks of light weights. Oh, wait a minute. Did I forget to tell you? That's right. You don't need any special equipment. I'm going to do the workouts behind me right here in my lounge room. We're going to use light weights, not heavy weights. We're going to do light exercise, not high intensity interval training, nothing like that. So have a look at this. Now, this is 2 weeks of using light weights, and 2 weeks doing two times a day for 2 weeks in this study was equivalent to 3 to 4 months of heavy lifting, high intensity training. Just 2 weeks was equivalent to 3 to 4 months of high intensity training. Now, what about this fat loss? All right, let me show you this. Okay, have a look at this. This I could not get rid of for years. Sorry about the graphic. Now, look at me. Look in the background. You see the Christmas decorations. This was within 3 weeks. That belly fat that I could not get rid of was gone and is gone. Okay, now here's some more proof for you. Look at this. This is an email I sent January the 2nd, telling the person that, look, I've just lost all of this weight within 3 weeks. Let's have a look at the change in my legs. Look at this photo. Now, this photo, I will remind you, was me doing leg presses and leg curls and that sort of thing, 15 months, 3 times. Look at that. They just look like old men's legs. They look terrible. No tone, no definition, all that hard work for what? Now have a look at this. This is once again within 2 weeks, okay? 2 weeks, and look at the muscle definition that I've already got. So this is what I'm going to teach you. We're going to hack the system, and I'm going to teach you all about it. I say it's based on science, it's based on evidence. I'll show you the studies, I'll show you everything you need to know to finally make real changes like I have. Now, remember, this is just a work in progress for me. I'm only 5.5 weeks in, so I'm just at the start of this. So if you want to get toned, you want to get more strength, you want to build muscle, you want to lose fat, stay with me. All right, so what I want to explain here now is how I couldn't lose weight, couldn't build muscle over a year, and have managed within 3 weeks to make changes that I could not even achieve in a year. Now, if you're wanting to lose weight, build muscle, tone up, lean down, any of these things, I need you to listen in, because so why you're not getting results like I wasn't, and it's all about your physiology. Right, so now, before I start that, you're probably thinking, I don't know, Mark, in the back of my head, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. I've tried everything. Right. I'd be skeptical too. I mean, I wouldn't have been any different. I want you to have a look at this study. Now, in your notes, I've got studies and studies and studies of results, evidence-based results on speed, on weight loss, on muscle building, on strength, and all these sorts of things, results of what you're about to learn, okay? But just look at this one study here, okay? Because you may be thinking, how is it possible to just use a few minutes instead of an hour, light weights instead of heavy weights, all the things that you've learned, how is this possible? Right, have a look at this study. This is a 2-week study. 2 weeks it took for light weights with elastic BFR. I'm going to teach you what that is, all right? Just stay with me. This was 2 weeks, and look, the results were similar using light weights, just a few minutes. In 2 weeks, the results were similar to someone doing high intensity, so think heavy weightlifting, over a 3 to 4 month period. So using light weights in a very short amount of time, 2 weeks, was equivalent to 3 to 4 months of heavy weights. Now, the problem with heavy weights are most of us can't get to an intensity to even make these changes, just like me, probably just like you. It's hard work, you can set yourself up for injuries, and most of us, you might already be injured like me and just can't physically do it. Right, so don't worry, the answer is here. Now, I want to teach you the traditional way we would build strength, okay? Because there's a better way, which is what you're going to learn, right? So here's the way we normally build muscle, build strength, lose weight, right? So you go to a gym, let's just say you go to a gym. Now, you know this as well as anyone. When you need to feel that burn, you've been told this 1,000 times, feel that lactic acid burn, right? Now, remember this right now. The burn is where the magic happens. Now, you might be saying, but I'm getting a burn. I was getting a burn. I was trained to failure. Why didn't we see results? I'm going to get into that. But just for the moment, think about this right now. Whether you're on the treadmill, elliptical, whatever you're doing, Zumba class, whatever, if you're not feeling a burn, you're basically wasting your time, quite frankly. The changes are going to be like me, next to nothing, all right? Now, you might be saying, but I am getting a burn, right? Stick with me, because there are problems going on in your physiology. Right, now, so let's just take the example of how we're going to build muscle, all right? So you're doing biceps, just for example, okay? There's no burn. So what is happening when there is no burn? Okay, so that's your slow twitch muscle fibers. You go for a walk, you're on the treadmill, no burn, your body is in economy mode, okay? So your body's there to make you survive, right? So it doesn't want to be using, muscle fibers that take up a lot of energy, so it uses your slow twitch muscle fibers. That's why you can walk without getting a burn, you can do things. So if there's no burn, your muscles are using the slow twitch and they're getting oxygen back to the muscles, so the oxygen is just keeping it there so there's no burn, right? Now, if you keep working harder and harder and you start to feel that burn, here's what is happening. Now there's not enough oxygen going back into those muscles. It's getting depleted. This is called a hypoxic environment. Oxygen levels start to deplete in your muscles and lactic acid starts accruing into those muscles. You know what it is? It's the lactic acid burn, okay? So you decrease the oxygen, lactic acid comes in. Now, what that does, and this again, generally had to be through heavy weightlifting, high intensity resistance training. Think heavy weights or high intensity, so interval training, okay? Sprinting, going up and down stairs, these sorts of things. Right, so the old way is, we're going to get there, okay? Now we've got the lactic acid environment, okay? And sets off a metabolic crisis. This is your natural body, sends a message to your pituitary gland, and then that sends out human growth hormone. Human growth hormone is basically a messenger to send out, which I'll go into, send out all these chemical reactions to build strength or build more speed. Because your body doesn't know if you're in the gym or getting chased by a saber-toothed tiger. And if you're running and you don't have enough speed, it needs you to survive, so it goes into the fast twitch muscle fibers. It switches from slow twitch into the fast twitch, okay? Think of your sprinters, all right, your 100-meter sprinters. Remember their bodies? Well, they are tapping into speed with their fast twitch muscle fibers. That's where they're so big and strong, okay? Think of your marathon runners. Well, they're not big and strong and huge and muscly, are they? Because that's just too much weight for the body. They're working on slow twitch muscle fibers all the time. So they can run for miles and miles and miles or walk for miles and miles and miles, okay? So slow twitch muscle fibers, once they deplete their oxygen, that's when you start getting the burn from the lactic acid. It sends a signal to the brain, the pituitary gland, human growth hormone is released, and then all of these changes to build muscle strength, this sort of thing. And that was always done from heavy lifting, okay? You know that, so heavy lifting, burn, failure, and then it breaks down muscle fibers. That's why you get sore afterwards, creates micro tears, inflammation, okay? That's why you have to go pecs and back on Monday, and then you do your legs the next day, and you've got to wait for a couple of days to recover, right? Because you're going to be sore, you've broken down muscle fibers. Okay, there is a much better way. I train every day. I'm never sore, neither will you be. So I train every day, right out the back here, right behind me. I train every day, I am never sore, nor will you be, and I'm finally seeing results, which you will be, whether it's gaining strength, building muscle, toning up, losing weight, or just like me. I want you to do all of that, and we're finally seeing results. Now, but before we go any further, because you might be thinking, how is it possible to do low intensity exercise and then get these incredible results. Like doing 10 minutes instead of an hour. How is this possible? All right, I'm going to get to that. But before, how is it possible that we never saw results before? We decreased the oxygen. We had burning in our muscles. We trained to failure. We got the burn. How is it possible that we didn't get results? I'm going to explain that. So I want to teach you exactly what's going on so that you understand as crystal clear why you didn't have a problem in your 20s building muscle, getting stronger, losing weight, and why we do now, okay? Why you're not seeing results and why I didn't for over a year either. Not losing weight, not getting stronger. So what is actually going on here? Right, we know our bodies, our metabolism slows down as we age, right? We know that, you've heard of that, I'm sure, okay? We get our dad bods, can't build muscle, can't lose weight, right? So, but if we were getting the burn, we were dropping off. So let's just go back to that, okay? When you want to get stronger, make changes, lose weight, what do we want to do? We want to get that lactic acid burn. How do we do that? We have to fatigue the slow twitch muscle fibers to a point where they are deoxygenated, called a hypoxic environment, to then, what happens from then? We get the lactic acid in there. That creates that burn. That sets off a metabolic crisis. A message goes to the brain, specifically to the pituitary gland, to release human growth hormone to make changes to the body. Make it stronger. Make it faster. Increase these fast twitch muscle fibers. So you get stronger, faster, leaner, and all these sorts of things. So why isn't it working? Right. Well, let me show you something. So what we need to do is have a very strong human growth hormone surge. Have a look at this graph. Look at this graph. This is your human growth hormone, and look where you're about 30 to 35, okay? Human growth hormone has just dropped off a cliff. So there's not the same amount to access as we did when we were in our 20s, okay? Before we could access because there was a lot more. And again, from an evolutionary standpoint, well, that's what the body's doing. It's kind of like, yeah, because we weren't really meant to, you know, we just procreate the species, okay, have babies, okay, basically your job's done from an evolutionary point of the body, okay? So it doesn't need all this human growth hormone. So that's problem number one, okay? Human growth hormone, the biggest signal, and the more human growth hormone we can get surging into our system, the bigger adaptive effects are going to happen from that, right? So what are the ways that we can get surges of human growth hormone? Well, these people have synthetic human growth hormone. There's no way I would put synthetic human growth hormone into my body personally, with the risks involved, the costs, and goodness knows what else. So that's out for me. And the other way is high intensity interval training, high intensity resistance training, which is virtually impossible for us to get that level of intensity. It's like the 1% of people can do it. It's an elite level to get to that point, okay? So that's out. And plus we might be injured, we just can't lift heavy weights, it's hard work, the risks involved with injuries, the time taken, and so on and so forth. It is virtually impossible. So there's also the way I'm going to teach you. Look at this. You see here, what we're doing here, that top, there's hardly any human growth hormone, but what we're doing, look at that. There is a 25 times greater surge of human growth hormone with what we're going to do. So that is number one, right? Human growth hormone. The bigger message we can get to that pituitary gland, send out as much. Give me a surge of human growth hormone plus nitric oxide, which I'm going to talk to you about, which is the thing that will give you this fantastic buzz. Right, but let's just see. So what? Okay, so we can tap into that, great. But let's have a look at this other graph, okay? Have a look at this graph here. So the more oxygen we can deplete out of the muscles, right? We can get that oxygen down further and further and further. That'll create more lactic acid, a greater fatigue in the muscles, more burn, if you will, and that is going to send a bigger surge of human growth hormone, okay? So that's what we're going to be doing. So you can see this scale here. This is a person doing bicep curls, and going to failure, the same amount of weight, going to failure, and you can see they're very little, around about 30% oxygen depletion, right? With what we're doing, same weight, what we're doing, or lighter weights, and what we're doing here, and we're going to deplete that oxygen. The more you deplete that oxygen, again, safely, no problem, depleting that oxygen in the muscle creates more lactic acid, which sends a much bigger signal to the pituitary gland. More surge of human growth hormone, right? So that's what we need to do. If we can tap into that, we'll hack the system. Light weights, light intensity exercise, and be able to decrease our oxygen, get a much bigger signal, a way bigger surge of human growth hormone, and that's how we lose weight and build muscle and build strength and tone up by doing that. So that brings us to, what are we going to do?